And who or what do the quote elites answer to?
Everyone answers to the one eventually. Answering certain questions or elaborating on certain issues will have the opposite effect of what needs to be achieved. It will not help you.
Do you have any connection with the Anunnaki that the Sumerians wrote of?
They are not here anymore. That was another era. Their knowledge was not theirs. Knowledge is always passed on, hence it being present now.
How close to the truth is the book The Illuminatus Trilogy, The Eye in the Pyramid, The Golden Apple Leviathan by Robert Shea and Robert Anton Wilson?
I have not read them. If it is getting critical acclaim and being promoted heavily, you know what time it is. It may contain some truths, but they will be floating in a sea of perversions. No one is saying that authors are doing it knowingly, by the way. Some do, praise and recognition loving ones, the ones who quote, sold their soul, some don't, and the latter get noticed and promoted because it serves them. Nothing is easier than to write a bestseller book, hit album, movie script if you know what the highest promoter's agenda is.
Is Moroni, who is mentioned in the Book of Mormon, really an extraterrestrial from the Pleiades, and are such beings still interacting with humanity at present?
Mormons are like the other religious people, controlled by the ones who controlled their quote prophets, quote sons of God, quote angels, quote saints, etc. In this realm, a soul which was in a physical body once cannot become an angel. The soul cannot transform into that again in this realm. I repeat that firmly. Yet it is claimed that Moroni was resurrected as an angel in this realm. Mormonism has a core of truth, like the other religions, so reading the texts will not harm you as long as you are cautious.
What are the foods, etc., that are used to control us? Is there anything we should and shouldn't consume that would help us to see the reality more clearly?
See my earlier answers for the food part. It is one part of the manipulation. It is used in combination with 6 other methods of controlling your daily life. If you can quote, delete a few from your life or have less exposure to them, the effect will reduce dramatically, but this is not what will make you more self-conscious. These methods are used to wear you out, lower your quality of life. They are interlinked. The methods are: number 1, food and drinks; number 2, medication, quote, health care, including vitamins; number 3, electrical waves, including your PC and cell phone, house electronic network. Everything chipped. Number 4, media, be it TV, radio, newspapers, magazines, internet, the most obvious method, yet the most enslaving. Number 5, music, sounds. This is a different method than media, used in a different way, although most times through the media. Number 6, air pollution. Number 7, education system, including known literature which is mostly corrupt, be it history, psychology, metapsychology, quote, philosophy, art, science, poetry, religion, even fairy tales told to infants. Politics takes these methods and bombard you with this every day and make sure they are maintained. The rule is, if promoted, praised, applauded, critically acclaimed, free, be very wary. Be it food, medicines, latest technological product, quote, artist, politician, musician, book, show, beverage, etc. Some of these allegedly, quote, stand the test of time, that is orchestrated for a reason. Problem is, if too wary, you could miss a few gems that are deliberately passed on in between the manipulation tools by some. There are a few other methods such as societies, cults, sex, people policing each other, etc. But the six I mentioned a moment ago are the core which has been promoted since the French, quote, Revolution.
What constitutes, quote, temperance? Is it moderation in all things or more than that?
Temperance means conscious form of restraint based on self-knowing to achieve inner order of the soul, which is the unseen you as a whole. The soul is not a part of you, you are one. Restraining the emotions, desires, passions, energies does not mean cutting it off, that will harm you, beware, but channeling them to work for higher causes after taming them gently. This all does lead to a sober life, yet simpler, filled with gifts because you fully become your own master, instead of your emotions, desires, passions, dictating you how to be. Simultaneously with this process you will be cleansing yourself and will be ready to be enlightened by the universal mind. Be like that which you want to connect with as much as possible.
Do you have friends who you meet from outside the bloodline?
Yes, but it is not a wise thing to know many people.
Do you feel empathy, hate, or remorse?
The body forces you to experience empathy, hate, remorse and all other emotions, together with desires and passions, to confuse you, make you forget yourself, become a dumbed-down version of yourself. They have their foundation in this material physical world. The more you let them be your masters, the stronger you will chain yourself to this world, which is contrary to your duty, yet do not loathe them, respect. I channel them to a place where they can be used for something substantial.
I am asking, how does one reconnect with the divine source? How does one rise above this prison?
I reckon my answers today have covered that. If not, do you personally ask again?
I'm not saying each of us is God, the ultimate source, but we are our own God due to the fact that we create our own reality. What say you, insider?
You partially described free will and the impression it can give you, nothing more or less. Also the word, quote, love has many traps, especially the way you used it.
You said Earth is a prison. Are you referring to light trapped in matter? If yes, then I'm beginning to see all the points you've alluded to so far.
Trapped would be the wrong word. It would imply that the divine had wrong intentions. Rather, constructed in a way so, or enveloped through. Some of the things you described are directly linked to the powers of the universal mind. Like I said, everyone can pick that up. If you can, it means you are at a higher stage than others. However, beware of how you use it. It is not yours, not in this realm. Also, it could be a deceiving beginning of something else which many people experience.
Jesus encountered a sheik in the desert during his travels from whom he received a blessing. Would you happen to know anything about that?
I know some people which Jesus of Nazareth, quote, happened to encounter, were insiders. The 3 kings being the first right after his birth, which were actually 5 but 2 were present in the background. The number 3 in the story serves a symbolic purpose like so many things. Read slowly. The gifts were the symbolistic artifacts, some ancient, which through rituals would initiate him into his chosen task. For this he needed to travel to certain places. I have said a few times and I will repeat for the last time. He was not the real Christ. He was made to appear like one by being guided throughout his life up to his death. And after that, the documenting of the words, which started long before his death, although rewritten again at a later time, to release. The 5 kings were present too during his crucifixion, and Jesus of Nazareth knew he would have responded differently if they were not there. Jesus of Nazareth was always aware that he was being guided by them. In fact, he sometimes actively searched for them and other insiders. He gave up on 2 occasions but was guided back.
The quote, elite, are making oil look like it is being constantly restored, but are actually storing it. I'd appreciate your thoughts on this.
The earth is storing it until they get used. The ones in power just tap into it. Although there are some factions above the puppets, and they are responsible for the misconception, most of which you described together with the statement that the resources are disappearing. It is the way I described in my answer to a previous question.
I'd appreciate your thoughts on Candice Freeze's writings.
The writing has some errors. Number 1. The Anunnaki are rulers from a different era. They are gone and replaced by others. 10,000 to 15,000 years from now, yes, the Earth will be still alive. People will find texts about the rulers of this era thinking it still applies to this. Those texts have been written for the major part already. Number 2. If what was written in this text was true, it would mean that at the moment the Earth, quote, star friends, and angels would be now rebelling against the divine law of the One, which is an abomination to even suggest. I had to be very careful how to articulate that to not fall into the trap too. If the person who wrote it does not restore it, she will achieve the opposite of what she desires and taking many souls with her who accept this. Again, accept no human intervention between you and the divine. Number 3. The struggle is on a personal level. That means you only can do it. Do not wait for, quote, saviors.
My only question now, is it really this simple? I will not give away what you have knowingly or inadvertently revealed. I know now that what you say is true. This cannot be told. It must be discovered, for it has no power if it is revealed to one. Is this the reason there is so much secrecy? Not so much that people won't find out because it is, quote, just for the elite, but rather, that if they happen to be told it, instead of discovering it they would never have any chance of escape.
The truth wants to be known by you. It is its main goal, inviting you every moment of your life. So to be understood by you it is out of necessity simple and to be noticed relating to providence. It is, quote, in front of you. The last question has a yes as an answer. If you did find it, thank the divine law, nothing, nobody else. The journey just started, long path.